Hi everyone, I'm Aviad Cohen at AV Master, and today we have Neil Fluster, Product Director at Poly. Hi Neil.
Hey everyone, great to be here.
So Neil, this is a very good opportunity at the end of 2020 to do like a roundup of everything that we've had.
It's been a
So
quiet year, hasn't it? There's not much been going on really. I mean, it's
now,
nothing major. No, it's pretty simple.
now I've got a big surprise for you. I know you didn't prepare for this, but we're going to be talking about COVID-19 related issues.
Wow, first I've heard of it. As I say, what's this COVID-19 thing? I mean, is this something new? Is it some new technology that someone's been working on?
Yep, straight for the competition, and I think just about crippled the entire population
Oh man, it's
worldwide.
crazy, isn't it? We were talking beforehand. I think the interesting part, you see all these notes, what's been the biggest driver of your IT change this year? Is it, pressures from this, that, and the other? It's like the number one pressure for IT change this year has been COVID. It's just absolutely, Corona, COVID, whatever you want to call it. Who'd have thought back in January? I think, didn't we see each other at ISE this year in
I think
February?
we have, yeah.
Who would have thought when we sat there at ISE in Amsterdam that we would now be sitting here in December where we are today with what's gone on this year? Been crazy.
I have a selfie with an N95 mask where I look like a guy from Fortnite wearing my Sony headset like this. And everybody was making fun of me at the airport. And we came back and people were like, dude, do you have a mask to spare? I'm like, no, no,
It's
no.
crazy, wasn't it? I mean,
It
it was
was
funny. So ISE was the kind of start of it, and there was a few kind of stands and booths from a couple of different suppliers from like Asia Pac and China that were kind of empty, and then there was these bowls of anti-bac kind of gel and stuff like that. And I think everyone thought it was a bit of a joke at the time. We were all like, "Oh yeah, we'll still shake your hand." Everyone was like, "Oh, this fist pump stuff," and we are like, "No, no, no, yeah, it's all just we'll still sit there." And then wow, what I say came into March and then April, and it's like, phew, blimey, how wrong we were.
insane. So let's kick this off.
Mm.
So we've seen 2020 actually kick off with certain trends in the UC and BYOC, all displayed at ISE 2020, and of course some other exhibitions. They were interesting, as UC is always interesting, but they were not the focus of trends. And then COVID-19 came in, and a lot has changed. But most of all, UC and bring your own codec, or BYOC as we call it, has been major players.
Mm.
So which new trends in this UC did you identify?
It's an interesting one. I mean, there's so much that had to happen in a very short space of time. We saw sort of three phases this year of the way in which things have gone. There was the initial phase of people evacuating the offices and all having to work from home, and the challenges that brings of space, of technology, of noise, and obviously the tools that you're going to use to carry on your work. We called that the kind of staying alive phase. Where you try and find a corner of your bedroom or your kitchen where you can kind of get set up, and it may not just be you, it's going to be your spouse and then your kids learning from home as well. We then kind of moved into what we call the survive stage. So you've got your space kind of set up, and you've got your kind of built-in camera and microphone set up, and everything's kind of working okay. And then moreover, now as we kind of go forward, moving into what we call the thrive stage of, okay, I can return to the office, but actually I find this working from home thing quite nice. And I want a better headset and a better camera and better technology to be able to do that. I think the other thing that's really interesting for regards to the technology piece is just how customers and IT departments and companies have had to rapidly change the way in which they worked. Traditionally, when I talked to customers that were on a journey from, say, Skype to Teams, they were like, yeah, we're going to go to Teams in, say, 18 months, 2 years' time. It's going to be a slow ramp up. We'll have a couple of sort of sample groups that'll kind of test it through. And then when you suddenly got 500 or 1,000 employees that are all having to connect back through a VPN connection to a server on premise, it just doesn't work. So the mass and rapid transition from on-premise to cloud and to tools like Teams, like Skype, has been a huge thing. And then lastly, just obviously companies like Teams and Skype and obviously Microsoft and Zoom having to pivot their roadmap. you see a lot of development put into the Teams desktop client, the Zoom desktop client, so they can do things like blurred backgrounds, virtual backgrounds like you're using there, increasing the number of participant counts that they can put in there, and obviously allowing people to have those tools to be able to do that. So again, acceleration to cloud, people's personal spaces, at home being quickly turned into office spaces, and then the technology to be able to block out, background noise, background video, and things like that, so that people can operate remotely, as if they were in the office.
So, first of all, that's my real library.
Yeah, yeah, okay, you read all those books, yeah.
I've read most of them. I think they're in Danish. I'm still studying that.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, we spoke, so there's a big threat in the survival part, where's and then the thriving part comes in,
Mm,
and then
yeah.
which means, leads me to the second question is, with every threat, you have an opportunity. So what opportunities did Polly identify during this time, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, again, we were in an amazing position, as one of the number one vendors of headsets and obviously camera technology. A lot of our solutions were rapidly deployed across customers' estates. I think the interesting thing is that there's a lot of different solutions out there and technologies out there for things like headsets when you're working from home. Again, you could use the built-in microphone and speakers. You can use the built-in camera, and you can get a kind of good enough kind of experience. But the challenges come when you've got two people working very closely to each other. Our SE there in Israel, actually, Nathan did a great video of him and his wife working in the same room. And when he used his built-in microphone, you could hear both of them talking as soon as he switched to a poly headset with the beamforming microphones, our noise block and acoustic fence technology. It allowed them to work literally within sort of 6 feet of each other, but without interrupting the call that they were joining, but also, moreover, not interrupting each other because of the ANC, the receive ANC on the headsets themselves. And then
Just
again, go on.
Yeah, just one parenthesis. This ANC stands for acoustic or active noise
Active.
cancellation. Active noise
Yeah,
cancellation.
active noise cancellation. Yeah.
Just to elaborate a little bit, whoever doesn't know this, it has become a very big thing in
Mm,
audio before COVID and before everything, to mask out noises. The technology itself is not new, but the use of it in headphones is relatively new. There are two other names who were with this for the consumer part. Poly is from the enterprise side. What it does, it creates an opposite phase to the noise coming out, and it's actually quite interesting how it works. I own one headset, not by Poly. I can say it's quite amazing. It masks out everything. But if I were to take what you said, your opportunities, so in a way, Poly's crowd or end users have expanded since you're going into people's homes. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
it's yeah, we obviously the users that we can touch now with our technology has gone from the boardroom where, and the meeting room traditionally where you have a percentage of the company using the tools and technology to do remote conferencing, to now potentially, touching every single, walk of life. We've had a huge opportunity with educational stuff, with distance learning, huge obviously opportunity with, again, the enterprise starting to work from home, and then just things like telemedicine having to ramp up. It's interesting you talk about the ANC, because a lot of the times when people think about ANC, they think about the receive ANC, which is what you described. So it's blocking out what you actually receive in your ears, but there's also transmit ANC as well. And again, a lot of the domestic and consumer prosumer headsets and speakers will have a level of ANC, of active noise cancellation, on what you receive in your ears, but you never listen to what the far end hears. I don't know how good I sound. I know how good I sound because I'm using a poly headset, so I should sound amazing. But the fact of the matter is that if there was a barking dog, if there was someone sitting next to me or typing away on a keyboard or with a leaf blower outside, the transmit ANC as well, and the beamforming microphones that we have, and again our technology like noise block and acoustic fence would stop that from disrupting the call, so that when I am joining a call remotely, whether it's because I have to or whether I choose to because I want to stay at home, if I'm typing away on the keyboard or eating some crisps or there's a dog barking or my son's shouting in the background, that's not going to disrupt the audio on the call. So again, technology like that we put into our headsets takes us over and above, the free earbuds you get with your mobile phone, which are great for listening to music, but actually it's the transmit that no one ever hears. It's the fact that you never hear yourself back. So you always want to maintain you get the best possible quality audio and obviously video that you're transmitting, not just that you're receiving.
And phasing forward, spoke of gearing up at home, and again, the survival part. I remember the beginning of the year, we just everybody was laying their hands, whatever they can get, no matter a vendor, regardless of everything, because you had to stock up. But then you said comes you know, the
Thriving.
more
Staying,
thriving, more,
stay alive,
no, yeah.
survive, and thrive are the three kind of stages, and I think we're moving more into that thriving
Yeah.
stage now.
So
The
that
fact that a lot
comes,
of
yeah,
yeah, go on.
that comes into like planning and designing your own office space and home space. Meaning, so you didn't spend budget on traveling. I know I didn't. Huge budget was not spent on traveling, to my wife's delight. And that means you have more available funds to spend on gearing home. So I'm going to move up one of the questions, and
Mhm.
I do know from going over internet forums and how conversations. So they there is a general understanding that you need to gear up with something of high quality, and there are some players in the market. So Poly is one of those. They have a premium name in high grade solutions. We know that, and you take pride. And problem is, it comes with a price, and those consumers are saying, hey, I don't know how long this is going to be. So how do you deal with those sort of contradicting demands, a high grade, low budget, or limited budget? How do you
Yeah.
meet
It's
those?
a good point. Again, there's always that good enough. Yeah, what I've got is good enough. I don't need a better camera. I don't need a better microphone. That's why YouTube is so great and killing broadcast TV, because it's like the video is good enough. I don't necessarily need 4K and HD and all the rest of it. But I think moreover, as I say, as companies will have seen that people can work remotely, and hopefully they haven't seen a reduction in revenue or in productivity because people are working remotely. People are their staff are happier because they spend more time with their family and don't have to sit in traffic. I mean, I know what Tel Aviv traffic's like in the morning; it's crazy. So same here in London. So the fact that you can save that time, I've been talking to a lot of customers that are saying actually the office is going to change. We're not going to go back to the old ways, and the fact of hybrid working and digital transformation is the way forward. Some companies I spoke to have said, our office is essentially going to become a lounge with good coffee and meeting spaces that people will come into once or twice a week to meet up with the teams. And then the rest of the time, they'll be working at home, task-based working at home, using their own setup at home. Now, if you're doing that and you're joining calls throughout the day, you need to have great audio and you need to have great video. So the fact of the matter is that yes, Poly is a premium brand, and clearly we're doing a lot in our roadmap to invent and innovate new technologies for people that want to hybrid work. Our new Sync series of speakerphones have the ability to charge your mobile off them as well. So again, if you're going into the office, not having to carry around a separate battery bank, and allowing you to go into those private rooms in the office, but also work from home remotely. And again, we're doing a lot of work around the cameras, Eagle Eye Mini, Eagle Eye Cube, and other USB based cameras that, again, if you want to continue to work at home more effectively, we will give you the tools to make sure that you look great, no matter if your lighting's not good, or if it's a dark and shady day. One of the classic anecdotes I can use, a friend of mine who works for a broadcast TV company, and he was using his Microsoft Surface tablet. It's got a built-in 720p camera, and he was joining calls in the morning, and he said, oh, "Okay, I look okay," but in the afternoon when it starts to get dark, the aperture of the lens, just the lighting is no good. We sorted him out an Eagle Eye Cube, and he now looks great, sounds great, and again he can join calls when working from home, and again provide an experience as good as, if not better than, when he's in the office.
So, um, so what you're saying is everything changed. So people actually might look at it as an investment and not a nice to have thing.
Yeah, I think again, companies are looking at things in a different way, and obviously I don't know what's going on in Israel, but certainly here in Europe and certainly North America, where I've spoken to a lot of larger enterprise customers. Again, they are looking at how they use their office space, how they use their real estate. And again, I think that there is going to be an increase of people wanting to work remotely and wanting to have the tools to be able to do that. So, when you join a company, you'll get your working from home kit, you'll get your laptop, you'll get your headset, you'll get your camera, and that will be your working from home kit, so that you can actually, as I say, thrive remotely from home, and then, as I say, go into the office for good coffee once a week, and to meet up with your colleagues there. So,
So to wrap up, two last questions. So
sure.
um, one is, BYOC has boomed. So it's
Mm,
obviously, you're using that laptop or your friend is using the Microsoft device. Some
Surface.
others are using iPads or whatever, whatever comes into play. Um, that influenced our user experience. So how does that influence us going back into the office, whatever rate, so it can be 70/30, 60/40, 50/50, doesn't
Sure.
really matter, but it would affect the way our user experience is reflected going from home to the office, meaning,
Mm.
in my vision, it should be kept similar or as similar as possible. So, what's your perspective on this? And allow yourself to imagine a little bit. Let's say we are at June or July or September 21, and
Post-vaccine concept. Post-vaccine.
post-vaccine, those words, yes. um, the inoculation starting, it starts to look a little different. There's a sound of
Mm,
hope. But how will how will the office spaces look once we resume? Taking into consideration my first question, and then
mm.
second, how would it look? Now, how do you take that UX user experience and you make it happen on the at the new offices? How do they look?
Mm. There's a lot of really good points in there. I mean, firstly, today offices are having to change. The large rooms are now the medium rooms are now the small rooms are the huddle rooms, and the huddle rooms are the private rooms, because you need to provide distancing. The other challenges with regards to, we had over the last couple of years massively moved towards touch controllers and touch screens in the meeting room. Look at the Microsoft Surface Hub, look at, again, the touch controllers you have to drive the room. Touch is a real challenge when it comes to transfer of germs, transfer of anything, any kind of bacteria, or any kind of surface-based contaminant. And you're seeing, not only, as I say, that the room capacity is having to reduce, so again having to create different spaces for people to work so they can socially distance, but then also a different control interface. You've seen from the likes of Zoom and from Microsoft the ability to now drive the meeting room and control the meeting room system from your smartphone. So KYOG, keep your own germs, on your mobile device, that you can actually, start the call, stop the call, transfer the call, mute, and all unmute. The other interesting thing, again, to your point, the BYOC boom was already in growth, but now with people, being much more capable of driving the meeting from their personal devices, their laptops and tablets and such like, and moreover the fact that there are more tools out there. Again, the corporate standard probably was Skype for Business, but now people are more comfortable to join Zoom or join GoToMeeting or join WebEx or any other ecosystem platforms out there. And on a day to day, you will probably have your Teams as your standard based platform, but you'll have a customer that you have to join a Zoom call, a supplier that you have to join GoToMeeting. And having a single platform in a meeting room is a real challenge to have those different ecosystems. So again, being able to drive that through your own personal system, again, keeping your own germs, but using then a really high quality audio and video device to be able to use that in the room with some of obviously the AI innovations that we have at Poly. Interestingly, the one key advantage that we have with our cameras, even in a BYOC environment, is that we can actually count the number of people in a meeting room. So we can look at the faces and actually give you that report that says, you're not overloading your meeting rooms, you are providing social distancing, and that kind of health and safety analytics and insights into your meeting space. I think lastly, to the last point of what's going to happen post vaccine, which again
Yeah.
can't happen soon enough to us. As I mentioned earlier, I think again it's a very much a generalization, but from a lot of customers that I've spoken to, the increase in home working or hybrid working is going to be a huge boon. And I think again from a meeting space point of view, one of the big pieces are that meetings or offices are going to be more flexible. So they are going to be more transient for their employees and workers coming in with these kind of open spaces that people can drop in and come in and meet. A lot more meeting spaces, a lot more good coffee, and great air conditioning, which us here in London don't have and want to come in for. Some workers will want to go back. Again, if you look at the big towns like Tel Aviv or even London, a lot of workers are in very small apartments. They don't have that dedicated space like I have here that I can set up as a home office. They will want to go back into the office, but they'll be talking to people that actually want to work from home. And again, the ability to have two or three people in an office and then two or three people dialing in, calling in remotely using these technologies like Teams, like Zoom, but again, having a thriving experience when they want to work from home rather than looking at someone as if they're in witness protection with a big window behind them, having very poor audio that you can't understand, but having great audio, great video, and a good enough experience or a better than good enough experience when you are choosing to hybrid work or work remotely from the office.
Sounds like a place I'd like to be.
Yeah, let's go
Uh,
there.
I'm
You've got
really
the
hoping.
weather as well, so I mean, it's
Actually, yeah, you know what? Let's see what comes with those predictions, and I'm really hoping most of them come because they bear very good news and actually wonderful news. And hoping to meet you at ISE at June 21, if that's still happening.
let's hope.
If that's still happening. And I would like to thank you very much, Neil Flooster, Director of Products at Poly. Thank you very much for your time today, and see you soon.